decided enough's enough. She distanced herself from Fergie, gave herself a new look, and found something to do. Her new image even survived rumors of an affair with 28-year-old banker Philip Dunn.
At the moment, Charles and Diana can't do anything wrong. Now, a year ago, or 18 months ago, they couldn't do anything right.
We have a battle on our hands. It has to be waged on two major fronts: prevention and cure.
Diana has undergone a surprising transformation. With a new business wardrobe and speech lessons from film director Richard Attenborough, Shy Di is now a working mother, taking on causes no past royal would ever touch, like drugs, the breakup of the family, and AIDS.
She's one of the few people who is unafraid of AIDS in this country, and obviously she's done wonders, and she was the first member of the royal family to be photographed actually shaking hands with people who had AIDS.
Fergie, however, is still considered the problem child in the family.
The Duchess of York is probably the most hated member of the royal family.
This royal redhead rebelled against tradition by getting her pilot's license and flirting with hecklers.
I'll see you later.
But what started out as a refreshing change quickly grew into another embarrassment for the poor queen.
She likes to take on challenges. That part of her life has rather been forgotten because now we've got into the silly Fergie bit and the fact that she's a spendthrift or whatever the latest accusation against her is.
Lately, our dear Fergie has been accused of child neglect for running off to Australia to join her husband, leaving their 6-week-old daughter to the nanny. And now she's written 2 children's books, giving only part of the profits to charity. The rest is lining her royal pocket.
She's new to the royal family and she very much wants to do the right thing, and I think the person that suffers most from not having good advice is her.
Are these royal scandals a sign of the free spirit of youth, or is it high time for royal rebellion? Maybe this generation of royalty is trying to wake up a sleeping monarchy, or maybe they're simply trying to grow into an awkward tradition under the watchful eye of the entire world.
I think the royal family represents the generation they're in, and of course in the old days, when the Queen was growing up and Princess Margaret was growing up, the society was very rigid. You couldn't actually meet a member of the royal family. It was very, very difficult unless you were a very old friend to see a member of the royal family. Now, all you've got to do is hold a charity party.
I don't actually think that they are that different because they all did it. But nowadays, perhaps they get more publicity for doing it.
Well, Princess Fergie is expected to be in New York tomorrow promoting her budgie book. Over the weekend, she was in Houston visiting NASA's Mission Control. Apparently, while she was there, she found a hidden roll of toilet paper in the flight controller's desk. My question is, can she just go into people's desks? And why was the toilet paper there? Coming up later, the self-deemed American royalty. Are huge amounts of money enough to be a prince?
Concept of royalty, it's another way of saying in this country, he's got a lot of money.
But next, it's a lifestyle that fairy tales are made of. Money, power, and blue blood that's awfully hot.
Big Boy's all-you-can-eat breakfast bar.
But when Princess Grace suddenly died, everything seemed to change. Princess Stephanie left home and embarked on a very public and sometimes embarrassing attempt to find herself. Prince Albert began to feel the pressures of his future, and Princess Caroline moved from rebellion to responsibility.
Monaco may be the ultimate playground for the fabulously wealthy and affectionately famous. But for the first family of this postage stamp-sized principality, the Pink Palace may seem more like a gilded cage. Grace Kelly put her acting career on hold when she accepted the proposal from Prince Rainier, a man she barely knew. The prince refused to let her take on any more screen parts.
Why don't you come back? It would be nice, but I'm afraid not.
Rather than acting out her frustration, she quietly accepted and began living her greatest role, that of a gracious princess. It was one she taught, perhaps bitterly, to her children.
There were a lot of constraints against Caroline and Albert and Stephanie. There were a lot of things that they couldn't do, a lot of freedoms that they didn't have. They usually had to act like a little prince and a little princess. When they got to be teenagers, they rebelled against all that. They wanted to be free. They wanted to do what they felt like doing.
Caroline was the first to rebel. After leaving the palace for school in Paris, the princess became a disco diva. The paparazzi descended on her like vultures.
She'd go out to nightclubs and she'd be photographed, you know, discoing and with a very low-cut revealing dress and holding a drink and smoking a cigarette. None of which, I guess, a princess is supposed to do. And these pictures were in the newspapers, and you know, Grace was really mortified.
Then Caroline fell head over heels for international playboy Philippe Junot. Grace begged her daughter not to marry Junot, but that only made Caroline want him more.
One of Philippe's friends from Paris showed up on their honeymoon, and he was a photographer. And Philippe had sold this friend, or given this friend, or rented this friend, or made some sort of a deal with this friend for the exclusive honeymoon photographs. And I said to Caroline, when did you know that the marriage was going bad? And she said, right then and there, I started to wonder.
Husband number 2 was another rich playboy. Renier reportedly thought he was a wimp, but this time Caroline had no choice. She was 3 months pregnant on her wedding day. They're still married, now with 3 children, and since her mother's death, Caroline has taken on more royal responsibility.
Whereas Caroline rebelled against it and then came back into the fold, the prodigal daughter, as it were, Stephanie appears to have said bye. She has completely rebelled against the whole royal trappings. She just doesn't like it at all.
Stephanie left Monaco to live in Los Angeles, where she carries on a long-standing popularity contest with her sister. In a dating derby, Stephanie has completely outclassed Caroline. She's been linked with more men than her sister ever was, many of whom would never be considered suitable for a princess's hand. Stephanie has loved and left race car drivers, rich playboys, and Hollywood hunks. Somehow, she has found time for successful careers as a model, fashion designer, perfumier, and pop singer.
Trying to find a niche for herself, trying to do something that would make her mother proud of her. That was all, I think, prompted by Grace's death.
She always talked about show business in a great way, and she'd always told my daddy one time I would probably be end up in there, and here I am.
Now Stephanie is gearing up for a serious acting career.
She has to stand up with her mother's reputation and not let that down. So it'll be difficult for her always, because people will sort of remind that.
Nobody has to remind Prince Albert that he is slated to take over his father's throne. Described as shy and sensitive, Albert has never created any controversy. His greatest accomplishment may have been overcoming a nasty stutter. Though his destiny has been drilled into him from an early age, it doesn't mean he has to like it.
I don't think either of us are ready right now.
To become ready, the 31-year-old bachelor first needs a wife and preferably an heir. Yet he seems to be in no hurry.
I think he has to first marry somebody he loves and think of how she'll fit in next to him, beside him here, and how she can carry out the part she has to play.
But Spadis says Albert could become the ultimate royal rebel by renouncing his birthright.
I believe that Albert does not want to take over Monaco and probably never will. I think what's being happened is that Caroline's being groomed to take over the country. Grace tried to raise her children to be the best little princesses and prince that they could be. She didn't do too well at that, but I'm not sure that was her fault.
Now, the usually discreet Albert is showing some of his sister's flamboyance in his choice of companions. He's rumored to be dating TV actress Christine Hage of Head of the Class. Meanwhile, Stephanie's latest business venture is a signature fragrance called Stephanie. It's available only in Europe. Money can't buy love, but it might buy royalty. Stay with us to discover if, in America, the amount in the bank is enough to wear the royal crown.
The evaluation committee is in your office.
This is my husband, Paul. He's under a lot of pressure. But now he's taking charge of his health, eating right by cutting down on cholesterol and saturated fat. That's why I cook with Puritan, with no cholesterol and proven 94% saturated fat-free. Better than any other kind of oil.
Your wife called. Sneakers before dinner?
Hey, Mr. Principal, carry your books?
Anytime.
Paul's feeling great, and I am too.
Puritan, make it your oil for life.
One of the great advantages of doing business with a firm like Schwab is that you're dealing with professionals across the whole country. They're creating financial advantages for the individual investor.
Many of our customers transfer their other brokerage accounts to Schwab because we make it easy. We help the customer complete the right form, they sign them, and we do the rest. It's that simple.
Call today for free information about Schwab services. 800-323-9300.
$6.9 financing or $600 cash on Ford Thunderbird at your Quality Plus Ford dealer.
It's the best thing since sliced bread. New Pepperidge Farm Lifestyle Breads. Moist and rich, but light in calories. A tasty way to help stay in shape for your favorite activities. Cinnamon, cinnamon, cinnamon bread. Cinnamon, cinnamon, cinnamon bread. Pepperidge Farm cinnamon bread. Might say it's for folks who like their cinnamon with a little bit of bread.
From the outside looking in, being a younger member of the Kennedy family might seem like a great way to live. But consider the drawbacks, especially when it comes to privacy. Last week, when the results of the New York bar exam were in, John F. Kennedy Jr. had to live through the humiliation of being the most talked about student to fail. Well, as we continue our special on royal rebels, we see how the younger Kennedys are following in their father's footsteps and meet two older entrepreneurs who hope to earn their way into this very elite club.
Nobody ever said Americans wanted a king, but there's no doubt we've had a national love affair with royalty since Camelot came to this country. And of course, in this country, you don't need blue blood to become an American monarch.
The concept of royalty, it's another way of saying in this country, he's got a lot of money.
Billionaire magazine mogul Malcolm Forbes is one of the richest men in America. Some say Donald Trump is one of the greediest. And most say the Kennedys are the most respected. And all three are considered to be among our American royal families. Royal families that all earned it the old-fashioned way. They inherited it, and that includes the Kennedys.
Listen, they inherited theirs. If you're going to be in public life, it's a big help to have money so that you don't have to take it from the till or on the side.
JFK's father made his fortune in stocks, Hollywood films, and liquor, and his royal offspring legitimized it with politics and power. But along the way, the Kennedys have broken the rules. They have become our royal rebels. Not afraid to thumb his nose at the conservative rich, heir apparent to the Kennedy throne, John Jr., is often seen dating the stars, perhaps taking after his father, who is said to have bedded Marilyn Monroe. Then there is Maria Shriver, who went so far as to actually marry into Hollywood with a royal wedding to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And of course, there is Jackie O, the Queen Mother, whose own marriage to Ari Onassis went beyond rebellious to reckless. And beyond that is Teddy, who turned scandal into tragedy that culminated in Chappaquiddick. And if the Kennedys can be seen as a daredevil dynasty, then the Donald Trumps are definitely ruling class that refuse to be outdone. A new member of the billionaire club, Trump has been called greedy and a breast-beating egomaniac who puts his name on everything he buys.
It isn't to be richer that he does what he does. It's so that what he's doing, he wants to have the best, whether it's the Plaza Hotel or an airline or be the biggest in gambling. He has a drive to excel. It's a competitive instinct. It's not greed. People say, oh, such a greedy man. Why does he want more?
Trump's life has become a media event. And if he doesn't break the rules, he surely bends them with excess of acquisition. And his wife Ivana says when they make $1 billion, they don't want to stop and enjoy it. They just want to make another deal.
For us, the fun is to take that $1 billion and use it for buying the Plaza Hotel.
But nobody has more fun with money than Malcolm Forbes, an American royal tycoon who seems to have loosened his tie the day he was born. He is a world-class balloonist and motorcycle maniac. At 70 years of age, he gets his highs from Harleys.
We were on our way from France to North Africa, and I hit a nice piece of open highway, and I gunned it. I didn't realize how fast I was going when I looked and saw 135. It scared the hell out of me.
Malcolm is rich enough to have as much fun as he wants. On his last birthday, he spent $2 million for his own party in Morocco. He owns helicopters, jets, an island in the South Pacific, a chateau in France, a yacht, Fabergé egg collection, custom balloons, and motorcycles. Over 70 new ones that he takes all over the world. Believe it or not, he has a lot more in common with these guys than you'd think.
They aren't rebels. They are simply reveling in the fact of the joy of the wind in the face, and all those things that you hear about are true on a motorcycle.
Reveler, that is what Malcolm is. A man who is using his money to make his life richer, and it doesn't seem to hurt his social life.
Passion, I see, is catching. I sure hope so.
Like other red, white, and blue bloods, Malcolm has succumbed to celebrities, and he is passionate about his latest and long-term lady friend, Elizabeth.
She's extraordinarily good fun as well as being attractive, and she's got a down-to-earth sense of humor, no silly pretension. She's just great company, and I think 9 out of 10 Americans would enjoy her company. I'm lucky enough to have it, but we're not going to destroy a beautiful friendship by marriage.
Malcolm is unconventional, but maybe that's what we want from our royals. We want them to take some risks and overdo. After all, what else would you expect from a colony that only became a country when it rebelled against a king?
I like Malcolm Forbes. Now, one thing that most American royals have in common is that they work for a living, no matter how rich they are. Trump and Forbes, of course, run their financial empires, and Trump's wife, Ivana, runs one of his hotels. And many of the young Kennedys have followed the family tradition of careers in politics or public service.
On Wednesday, you know him as the host on A Current Affair.
Hello, everyone.